Okay, so we've had story time. We've looked at the facts. Now let's talk about what we can do about it. I love to see the results of that people are aware, in accounting departments, so much of our work is to set in proper controls to prevent fraud. There are a lot of effective fraud controls that can be implemented quickly and inexpensively to protect your company. So here are 5 ideas that you can implement today. The first one is to establish secure fiscal policies and procedures. I'm starting with this one because it's so important and I cannot emphasize it enough. You need to figure out how you want things done in your organization. You want to look for and solve potential vulnerabilities in security and figure out exactly how you will handle every accounting task in your organization and then put it down in writing. Then you can have it reviewed and approved by the upper echelon. These procedures that you're writing down need to be detailed and crystal clear. No confusion. They should be able to be followed by all staff involved. And I know this is tedious, but it's important. Then once you have the procedure, the document spelled out, this is how we're going to do things, then you can create streamlined checklists based on those procedures. And that can be used by the person performing the work. And this helps you ensure that everyone is following the procedures so that no one is forgetting an important step, so that tasks are performed consistently. And that helps you reduce errors and save time and avoid fraud, and to perform the tasks on schedule at the right time. Checklists also act as a work log so that the work can be tracked. Organizations with clear procedures are better able to educate and train their employees who are coming in on common fraud practices. Here's what a documented procedure might look like, just kind of giving you a visual here. This is just a sample. You can include screenshots because this helps give a visual to the person who's looking up how to do something. They may be a new person who just started there, or they may just be stepping in for someone else. Remember my story a few minutes ago about the wire fraud attempt on one of our clients that was not successful? It was not successful because of the procedure that was in place that required we have a written and verbal authorization for wires. So spell out all those important details of how you want things done. Documented procedures and checklists help you retain control so that they're not as much at the mercy of someone who contains the organization's procedures in their memory. We think we know how to do it, and we do. So much of it is just in our memory. We know how to do things, but it's very easy to skip a step, and that step could be a really important step, like remembering to make the backup call on a wire request. So once all your procedures and checklists are spelled out, then you can train your employees that this is how you do things in this organization. And you can discuss the purpose of your procedures and train your employees how to spot and prevent fraud. That's really important. Also, train your employees not to share information on social media related to their roles and responsibilities. Some companies enforce a social media policy that prohibits sharing details about company roles and responsibilities because cyber criminals are out there looking, and they can develop sort of a picture of your corporate structure and reach out and communicate to you. And a lot of them seem to be able to figure out your address and emails, and then they can target your employees. So make sure your company website doesn't show your internal structure or your org chart. Don't publicize your procedures. Train your employees not to share their information publicly about what they're doing at work. It only takes one person to allow or stop fraud. Okay, here is, I went too far. Here is a checklist of a sample of what a checklist might look like. So you take that procedure that's written up exactly how you do things and then turn it into a checklist. Imagine how many steps there are in all the various procedures in an accounting department. And imagine how easy it would be to forget a single step if you don't have a checklist. Some procedures will require several checklists because there are parts of that procedure that are done by different people. and or done over different frequency throughout the month. So the checklist will list all the steps in order. Maybe they have a checkbox. Each step might contain a link to the full-blown procedure in case someone is new or steps in to do the work for somebody who's out on vacation and they need to see the full procedure. You know, I can't help but think of pilots. And when I get on an airplane, pilots have to follow a checklist before takeoff. And you know, they know these steps. They have done them so many times and they know them by heart. But if I'm a passenger on the plane, I want that pilot to use the checklist. I don't want to be on board the day they forget something important. So imagine the fraud implications of a simple accounting mistake. We use live checklists in our firm for everything. I'll just call out some ideas: entering bills, paying bills, voiding checks, reimbursing employee expense reports, processing company credit card purchases, onboarding new employees, validating time tracking and paid time off, setting up a new vendor for sure. Anytime a vendor wants to change the address of where the payment should go, reconciling balance sheet accounts. We have checklists for all of these things. And these tasks sound simple, but they actually have a ton of steps behind them. And you know, as accounting professionals, how important our work is and how tedious it can be and how time consuming and how much more there is. People always think, oh, it's so easy what you're doing. You're just writing a check. But there are actually tons of steps behind that, and for good reason. So these tasks represent work that can cause major issues or fraud if they're not performed correctly. So look into your organization, see if you have documented procedures. If not, maybe you think of one and go at it today. It's important. Don't be overwhelmed with it. Just start with one. Okay, our next thing you can do is take advantage of technology. Many of today's top tech tools for accountants are web-based. And one of the most important features that technology affords us today is better access to our data. Remember my story about the bookkeeper that had all the accounting on her laptop? Nobody else could see it. Web-based accounting infrastructures allow access from any device. Some people could be on a Mac, some on a PC, tablet, smartphone. It's not vulnerable to the equipment being stolen. Anyone else can jump on it. You haven't lost everything if the equipment gets stolen. Web-based allows access by multiple people in different places. They can log in anytime. They have different permissions that allow for secure access based on the person's role in the accounting department or in the whole organization. And web-based accounting allows for access when you're on the go and you're not sitting at your desk, because you can go mobile. So many of us are carrying this little computer around everywhere we go. Access to the books and financial reports is the number one reason that my firm moved all of our clients to a web-based infrastructure, including Bill, in 2011. Business owners should have visibility into their financial activity. And just as important, the staff should know that they do. Your staff should know that the business owners can look at things anytime they want. Many of these web-based accounting apps integrate with each other also. So when you're researching apps, check out the integration options. Start with a core general ledger like QuickBooks or NetSuite or Sage or Xero or whatever you're using, and then find tools that integrate it with your GL like Bill. Bill will integrate to any of those GLs and help protect you from fraud. And this integration of apps protects your organization from fraud by syncing data to and from the general ledger, so you don't have to enter it. You don't have to enter it again. That reduces labor, reduces vulnerability to errors, and reduces opportunities for fraud by manual entry. And it also allows you, the integration of the apps allows you to grant access to staff for only the apps they need. So you can keep them out of secure areas if somebody doesn't need to work in that area. And it supports separation of duty. New technology brings with it new automations, which save you time and money. That was previously spent on the cost of labor. So when you feel this, or when you hear people say, oh, I don't want to pay for that app, I have to pay for that too in addition to my GL, you're normally spending that money on labor. and the cost of errors. So the app is not necessarily more expensive than what you're doing now. I have found it to be that the app subscription price is actually less than what you're spending on labor to do all this duplicate work. So new technology also brings improved security. Today's web-based accounting apps are generally bank level secure. They're password protected. They're encrypted so that the data that's being entered is encoded and masked as it travels from your computer up to the internet, to the server. The data is automatically backed up and it's always available. I'm going to also add that web-based accounting solutions, we were nervous about this like 15 years ago. I used to teach web-based accounting to accountants, and I remember everyone in the room's hand going up about nervous about putting data in the cloud and can't hackers just hack into it. But web-based accounting solutions protect your organization from fraud because they're considered more secure than, for example, a filing cabinet with sensitive paper documents that can be stolen, or a computer or server with desktop programs and data files that can be stolen. There are cases of entire filing cabinets and computer equipment being stolen out of businesses. I'm sure you've read about these in the news. And furthermore, desktop programs have to be backed up to guard against data corruption and loss. And you got to do backup tapes. And then you got to take the backup tape and store it in another location in case the building burns down. You don't want the backup tape to burn down with it. It's a lot, those more archaic processes. So there are a lot of reasons to move to web-based accounting. Okay. Another way to take advantage of technology is to just use Bill. Bill gives you a dedicated email address for vendors to send their invoices in directly, and those are received in your Bill inbox. Then from the inbox, Bill's intelligent virtual assistant, IVA, automates the process of entering the bill into the system by capturing most of the data from the bill. And then you can review it and make adjustments. They're just suggestions, but it really automates a lot of the work that you're doing. Accounts payable apps like Bill have built really important technology features to help you avoid fraud. For example, with Bill, when you change a vendor, an email is automatically generated to let the vendor know that a change has been requested. That's a great control. Also, by using Bill's payment network, which has over 5.8 million members, vendors can manage their own banking info so you don't have to. And built-in AI helps monitor the network for unusual behavior, so that can be more easily detected. Okay, time for our poll question number 4.
All right, poll number 4 up on screen right now. There is one more poll in our remaining time today, but go ahead and get your answer in now. Let us know if your firm offers or plans to offer advisory services. I'll leave this poll in the background, and I know there's still so much to cover and we're getting a lot of value out of this. I'll go ahead and turn it back over to you, Laura.
Thank you very much. Okay, the third thing you can do today is separate financial duties. And that was our poll a little bit earlier, and sounds like a lot of people are doing this already, but separating financial duties ensures that no one single person controls all the parts of a financial transaction. Once you've implemented a web-based modern accounting infrastructure to take advantage of technology, and you've documented all of your procedures and built your checklists, then read through every one of those processes and make sure there are no areas that are controlled by one person, and split it into smaller parts. Then you can delegate to different staff. The technology is there to allow you to do that. The permission levels allow you to do that much easier than in the past. Let's look at an example, like paying vendor bills. There are several parts to this with several people involved. You could bring several people into it. So paying bills sounds like one thing, except that it could and should be split into smaller parts. Process number 1 would be one person enters the bill into the accounting system. Another person approves the bill, and you could have multiple approvers at this point. And then the third person schedules the bill payments. So right there, you've got 3 people. You've split a task into 3 different people. And you can look at all of your processes and determine which ones you can split into smaller tasks and involve different people in it. Here's a screenshot of one of the screens in Bill. This is where you grant access to the different roles when you invite someone to use Bill. This separation of duty allows you to grant different levels of access to different people so that everyone doesn't have full access to the entire financial infrastructure. The person who enters the bill wouldn't have authority to approve bills or pay bills. They would just have access to enter the bill. And then the person who can approve bills doesn't have access to enter a bill or pay a bill. They can only approve. So right there, not only have you split up who does what, but the person logging in can't even do the other things. Has anyone heard of the Hawthorne effect? Having proper controls in place has a wonderful domino effect in protecting the organization when everyone knows that financial activity is being reviewed and verified. So the Hawthorne effect says that individuals act differently. Their behavior is in response to their awareness of being observed. And that really helps everyone sort of stay in their lane. The approval process is a really important component to the separation of duties because it puts another set of eyes on things. So if we take accounts payable as an example, it's a best practice to have one person enter the bills, another person approve the bills, and the third person pay the bills. And in our firm, our staff enter the bills, the client approves the bills, and our controllers pay the bills. So that's the way we split it up over multiple people. Outside of accounts payable, you can also have reviewers and approvers on customer invoices, employee expense reports, timesheets, the reconciliation and close process. We make sure there's always more than one set of eyes on any of our processes. And you can see here on screen how this approval process works. It's very a good process inside of bill.com. They have a lot of tools. You can do group approvals. You can do multiple approvals. You can do conditional approvals. If the bill is over $100, these 2 people have to approve it. If it's over $1,000, these people. So there's a lot of complex tools available inside of bill.com. Okay, our 4th action that you can do today is to send payments securely. And we saw that payment fraud is up at 80%. Oh my goodness. And that check fraud is the highest. So we really want to pay attention to this one. Check fraud is the most common payment method for fraud. So from the moment they're issued, check payments are at a high risk for fraud because dishonest employees can issue checks without proper authorization. Fraudsters can easily alter checks or create counterfeit checks. And checks contain bank routing and account information, which is in plain sight for fraudsters to use. So it makes sense to make payments electronically instead. And if you're using Bill or whatever process you're using, if you can use e-payment, positive pay, and hidden bank account information, that protects your business and is considered safer than sending paper checks in the mail. For paying bills, and here I'm showing Bill, of course, because they have such a great process for this. When you're paying bills, apps like Bill make this super easy and secure. Like you're clicking buttons and then they're doing all this complex stuff. E-payment replaces paper checks going out in the mail with electronic transfer funds between bank accounts. And I know businesses today, our clients, that require their vendors to accept e-payment and they will not send paper checks. You can send a paper check in Bill and there is protection there, positive pay, the check numbers. Not your check number is not showing on the check because it's Bill's check number, but still, I have organizations, clients of ours that will not even send paper checks out of Bill. They demand that their vendors will accept e-payment. So in Bill, you can track the payment status from the time it's scheduled to the time it's processed and then sent, and then once it's cleared the bank. All of this information is so helpful to have right at your fingertips. So you're better off using Bill or tools like this because they have positive pay and because they transfer the funds from your account into their account, and then their account is the number that goes on a check if you are using checks, so that you keep that check account information out of the hands of the fraudsters. Okay, and our 5th thing as we end today, our 5th task that you can do to prevent fraud is to monitor bank activity. The bank statement should always be reviewed by someone other than the bookkeeper. I know it's so easy to be paperless now and not have those come in the mail, but whether it comes in the mail or you get a PDF every month, have an officer of the company or someone other than the bookkeeper review the statement monthly, spot check it, ask questions. Remember the Hawthorne effect. If you know you're being watched, you act differently. Sign up for paperless bank statements to eliminate the possibility of having it come through the mail maybe and just get the PDF of it every month, or have someone get it for the CEO or whoever is going to look at it. Another thing you can do is get banking alerts so that you see anytime. You can set up banking alerts for certain conditions so you get alerted of things, and watch for your text coming from your bank that's showing potential fraud, and be vigilant about those and work with your bank on that when they're trying to tell you that they suspect fraud. If your GL accounting software allows it, connect your accounting software to your bank accounts. Here I'm showing QuickBooks Online, and this is a process of matching the bank feed when it comes in. So that sort of validates, you can see all the bank activity happening. It's especially important for company credit card holders because you can hook up your checking account and each of your credit cards. So you can watch all the activity right there from within your accounting software. And that helps you see it faster so that you can deactivate if a credit card has been compromised, or reissue a new card and get credit back for any of the fraudulent charges. One little tip I wanted to throw at you today is just for fun. If you are writing paper checks or printing paper checks and you sign checks, or if you're doing anything with ink, paper and pen, if you're writing mileage on a title card for a car you're selling, or you're signing a legal document, or you're writing anything that you don't want changed, here's a pen. It costs about $1. It's a Uniball 207. When you write with this pen, it's permanent for the lifetime of the paper it's written on. It's a pigment-based ink. It's not water-based. It's not dye-based, so no chemical can remove it. And it forms an indelible bond to the paper. And the ink is actually absorbed in the paper's fibers, so that when an individual tries to wash the information on the check or on the document, that ink is trapped so it won't wash off. Okay, that was just a fun tip. All right, we're going to finish here with poll question number 5.
All right, well, that question is available for you all right now. Let us know if you'd like someone to contact you about Redmond Academy's events. And with that, I'll go ahead and give the time back over to you, Laura.
We have events coming up. If anyone's interested in following some of this work that we're doing all the time, we love to talk and share about the work we do as a CAS firm, as really important documenting the processes of accounting, and our online courses. Remember at the top of the hour is telling you about our newest venture, Redmond Academy. That's where we have online courses such as how to close the books in QuickBooks Online. And we have other live events coming up there. So you can either take your phone right now and grab this QR code on the screen, or you'll see the link there too. And I'd love to see you there. Thanks so much for coming today, and have a great rest of your week.